automatic cancel culture now that we're live. So we had to go live.
Say it on live. That's what is the best part.
Right? Live online, right? Like literally we were laughing. We're like, all right, wait, let me hit go live before we automatically get canceled by the systems. And I was like, fuck that cancel culture. Yeah. And happy Tuesday morning to you.
January 3rd.
January 3rd, 2023, 1323. Hey, that's crazy. I'm just a dork really this morning. That's what happens when I get to talk to you first thing in the morning. We just go off the rails.
Right
really
off
quickly.
the rails. This is right
off the rails. But today I am so excited to be chatting with the amazing Adam Smith, as he is the most recent addition to our phenomenal speaker lineup for the InFLOWential FREEDOM Summit, January 26th and 27th, right here in sunny, warm, for those of you who've been in the ice and snow, warm Florida, Tampa, Florida. But, you know, if you have not gotten your tickets yet, remember, these seats are limited. We have maxed the room at 100 tickets. They're getting, we're selling out. We've got the momentum building. If you want to be in an intimate setting, an intimate space with amazing leaders that really will have you 1 degree of separation from everyone of influence on the planet, this is the room to be in, to not only learn and grow, but build those amazing, powerful relationships. But enough about that. Oh yeah, click the link, beinfluential.com/summit.
Make sure you get the pitch. Make sure you get
the pitch, get the link, get the link. Let's go. But this is not about me. Today, this is about introducing you to Adam. If you don't know this amazing badass of a human being and battle buddy, fellow veteran, you are going to get a chance to now. So Adam, take a moment and share a bit about who you are, what you do, who you serve.
I will never claim to be a badass, just so you know. Like, that is something that's so far out the realm of my claims. I will never make that claim ever, not even a little bit. There's some bad dudes out there. I won't claim to be one of them. But yeah, my name's Adam Smith. I own a company called Savage Freedoms. I travel around the country and I teach people how to shoot and how to fight, how to become better assets or greater assets for themselves, their family, and their community. I also do leadership and team development for not only the corporate level, but also small entrepreneurs. A lot of business startups have a hard time with understanding how to truly lead, but not just lead from a place of like dictating action, but leading from a place of truly building a team. And there's a big difference between being a dictator and being a team builder or a leader on the other side. So that's another thing that I do. I also speak all over the country. So I've had an opportunity over 2022, because we're in 23 now, which is, oh man, I just got to get my head around that. That last year went so fast. I had a chance to speak at multiple engagements last year, an opportunity to spread a message of leadership, but also an opportunity to spread a message of mentality and how I understand the breakdown of tactics. Because I think that there's a common misconception. People keep saying, I'm looking for a tactical edge, a tactical edge, a tactical edge. Really what people are saying is they're looking for mechanics to apply on a plan, something that they can actually mechanically apply. So a process or a system or action steps that can change. But the other part of tactics that I like to talk about is the concept of mentality. So tactics is a combination of mechanics and mentality. So I travel all over the place having a conversation about those pieces. My background, God, I hate talking about my background. I spent about 17 years in the Army. Most of that time as a Green Beret in US Army Special Forces, been deployed all over the world. I got out of the Army and I stepped into tactical instruction. So I did a bunch of instruction director training for a company called Norse Tactical. I've helped start up multiple businesses. I helped a company go into its IPO. I created I've done a bunch of crazy shit. Like, I've just literally, my entire life has just been like doing a bunch of crazy shit. And now I do this.
I love it. That's so important. Well, and I love that you've already alluded to the importance of being able to create a high performance culture and how that starts with the leaders. I mean, we cannot create a culture externally that doesn't exist internally.
That's right.
And I know that is going to be a huge part of what we're bringing everyone together for at the Freedom Summit. So I would love for you to share a bit about what you are going to be bringing specifically to the event.
That's a good question. You and I actually talked about this already. I don't like to have a pre-made speech or a pre-made concept of what I'm going to bring. I consider myself to have a really big bag of, we'll call them tricks. I have a really big bag of tricks. So when I go to train people, or when I go to, let's say I'm going to do tactical training, we're going to teach mechanics around weapon systems, how to shoot and how to fight. I have to do an evaluation of the client, where the client is. So I understand at a foundational level where we're starting. And I also have to understand where they want to go. So when it comes to InFLOWential and the event that you're putting on, that I'm honored to be a part of, by the way, just FYI, like, this is a big deal for me. I really enjoy being a part of this. I'm going to show up and I'm going to be there the entire time. So I'll be there early. I'm going to stay late. I wholeheartedly believe that if you're going to come and be a part of one of these experiences or one of these events, and you're speaking and delivering, you have a responsibility to those that are participating to make yourself available. So the first thing I'm doing is going to be available. That's the first thing. The second thing is I'm going to fill in the gaps. I'm going to listen to what the speakers talk about. I'm going to understand where they are. I want to understand where the listeners are, where the group, the crowd is going to be. And I want to fill in the gaps. It's one of the things that I'm pretty good at. So I want to make certain that if there are questions that are being asked and maybe pieces of information that are missing, I want to focus on those pieces. And I like to focus on mechanics, action items. It's really important that action items are the principal focus of everything that we do. So we're going to speak about mentality. We're going to talk about how to be better, how to be a sound leader, the concept of how to change and shift your mentality and shift your perspective. And then after you get maybe motivated and inspired, we're going to take that motivation, inspiration, and turn it into action on personal action items that you can change to help shift your mentality. Because I wholeheartedly believe that inspiration and motivation without action is nothing more than masturbation. And I don't want people to come and have a temporary feeling of gratification by rubbing one out at an event. I want people to come and, rather than mental masturbating, actually have action items that they can execute on. If you look at what we're going to be doing at InFLOWential, like going to the gym, okay, you can get hyped up with music. You can get fired up with like good, solid, like just go kick people in the face and in the chest shit music. That's awesome. And it doesn't mean anything unless you take that energy and apply it to be better. So I think ultimately, in-state is, and this is a bit of a digression or just an offshot here. In-state is this. People told me I'm a professional asshole. So I'm going to come and be a professional asshole. That's what I'm going to do.
With love.
It's with understanding, love, and care. I legitimately care about people being better. It's just that how I deliver my message is, I would say, a bit unique.
Well, we were talking about that because obviously we were talking about, podcasting together, and it was funny because you were trying to like nicely say that it's like I have the directness, but not quite as intense as you. Not that you were trying to say softer, but it was funny. And my response to that was, perhaps mine just has a little more lubricant. My message has just a little more lubricant in terms of receiving. Not quite as rough. Still direct, but not quite as rough.
Yeah, that's a fair way to put it. I don't know, have you ever studied the adult learning theory?
Mm-hmm.
And there's a really brilliant concept to the adult learning theory that, as an adult, for those of you that are maybe watching this or listening, you already know how you want to learn. And you may not even know how you want to learn, but there's a certain way that you learn that you may not realize that that's how you learn. And so the adult learning theory focuses on being able to hit a multitude of different delivery modalities so that the ability for the individual receiving the information is increased. Rather than going from a 20% or 30% retention, we want to push it to a little bit higher number, right? God dang, this light's killing me. I look so washed out. I'm so frustrated with the stupid lighting in this system. If you see this video, don't judge this video with the lighting setup, right? This lighting is horrible. Oh my, I feel like Ricky Bobby. I don't know what to do with my hands right now. Like car wearing real fast. And so understanding the adult learning theory and recognizing how that functions and operates, people receive information in a very different way. One of the things that I've come to understand is that one of the best ways for people to retain information is to get them out of their comfort zone. Because if they stay in their comfort zone, then they remain in this world of, okay, dad, I got it syndrome. Okay, dad. Thanks, dad. Got it, dad. Right. And so I like to push people out of their comfort zone. And one of the number one ways to push people out of the comfort zone is to deliver information in a way that has almost become socially unacceptable. I sort of call it the fuck you delivery, if we're going to be real about it. It's like, no, how about this? How about you stop making fucking excuses, stop being a little complainer, stand up and speak like you got a set of nuts. Like actually speak like you want to own what you have to say. And the way I deliver it is what I have found is I everybody I interact with, I love. I really do. Like I might hate you in the moment, but I really like, I love you. I want you to be greater. I want you to be better. I want you to succeed. It's my purpose in life. My purpose is to see people be the greatest success that they can be. Well, I had a text message. Oh, let me tell you, this is a perfect example. I had a text message yesterday from an individual that came to an event that I spoke at earlier in the year with a guy named John Paramore. And I won't say her name because I didn't ask her if I could put this out there with her name, but she and her husband were at this event. They're really phenomenal people, really good people, but they were battling with the guilt of potentially taking a break. And so they sent me a picture yesterday, and they said that they said, quote, "This is something that you said at the event that really stuck with us. I don't know if you even remember saying it." And I was like, "That's really interesting. Send a picture." So they sent a picture, and the event says, "Pause if you must, but don't stop." And the reason why I said this was because they were battling with the concept of resting, like taking a rest, resting, recovering, and then replanning and re-executing. And when the military have a work rest cycle, it's really important for us to be able to do it because we have really long-term operations.
Yeah. And rest is an action. People forget that.
That's exactly right. 100%. 100. As long as it's intentional.
Yeah,
I mean, it's an action no matter what, but as long as it's intentional. And so where is it at right here? She said, hold on, I just want to find the message because it was really good. Oh, here it goes right here. She said, my husband made this canvas poster because of something you said to me at the Reckoning event last summer that had such an enormous impact on my life. I couldn't fucking stand you at the time, but man, I'm grateful for the lesson that I learned. And so like, that's kind of, I'm good at that. I give people comment into me.
Yeah, no, I fully agree with you. I mean, I spoke on a stage last November 2021, and I was just dropping bomb after bomb after bomb. People were just like, holy shit. And so it was really hard to read the audience. And I didn't know if I did a good job until after I got off the stage. It was like, oh my God, what happened? People were like kind of struggling to engage, but it's because they were taking so many notes, or they were sitting in that this is a tough pill to swallow. I got to chew on this for a minute, right? Mm-hmm. Like, so the shock had wear off because I was just calling them all out when I was talking about boundaries and personal accountability to create like discipline. And I'm, really getting into that hierarchy of discipline as a result, not a starting point. And it was just, so I totally understand. And I think that adds to the immense value of the experience over the 2 days, because we have the breakout sessions. We have the VIP dinner where people get this time to have all of us focused on them and whatever it is that they want to resolve or create, right? Just having people who are big thinkers, who've walked the journey, providing solutions and pathways to each person. And we get to have this experiential transformation together, because everybody's bringing tactical, whether we're talking branding, self-mastery, behavior, voice, leadership, community, culture, communication, all the layers. Everything's going to be very, very tactical, especially as we move into the second half of day 2, right? It's taking everything that we've done and hey, it's implementation time. And what is your plan of action, and having all of us there to help you do it, giving the Q&A, giving the breakouts is just going to be phenomenal.
That's the crucial piece. That's the crucial. I think the second day is going to, the first day is going to be super powerful, but I'm really excited about day number 2, only because I know like on the back end of day number 2, what that's going to look like with regards to people's ability to have good, solid takeaways, and then a plan of action that they can execute on when they leave the event. I think that's a really crucial piece. And it
is.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say it is, compared to like, I love the rah motivation events and stuff like that. And the big ones, they're fun and they're amazing and they fill your cup and they have their place and purpose. It's just, these are the experiences that I like because it creates results.
Yeah, exactly.
And it creates relationships.
That's the piece, the number one piece that I hope people can take away beyond having an action plan for themselves is building a network, creating a relationship. I've come to really understand through my time in the special operations community that developing rapport and building relationships are that's the number one key to success. And if your intention to build a relationship comes from a place of like legit desire to connect and not from a place of manipulating the connection for personal gain or benefit, then that's when everything changes and shifts. You stop looking at people as dollar signs or opportunity as dollar signs, but you look at people and opportunities as a chance for you to be of service, not make a dollar. That changes the entire, that changes. I just had a conversation today before this call. I had a conversation this morning, I had a cup of coffee with a wonderful person here in Asheville that's local. She's connected to people like Amelia Antonetti and some other folks. She's a phenomenal person. Her
The
name's
people
Lisa.
speaking at our event.
People speaking at our event, believe it or not. Yeah. Like
Amelia.
Amelia is a good friend of mine. I love her to death.
Yeah.
And so this gal, Lisa, we had a really great conversation this morning. And she had mentioned that, her daughter's getting ready to move out of town. She's got some concerns and worries. She really wanted to find somebody maybe out west where her daughter was moving to teach her how to shoot. And I was like, when's she leaving? She's leaving on Sunday. Well, how about I just create some space this week and we go to the range and do some basic fundamental lessons? And she said, are you really? And I was like, yeah. She said, well, I'll pay you for it. Like, no, you're not going to pay me for it. Like, we're going to go to the range. I'm going to shoot, which is enjoyable for me. And I'm going to be of service to you and your daughter. And I'm going to teach your daughter how to protect herself better. And I only use this as a point of reference because here's the kicker. In the conversation, she actually gave me value. She provided value in our conversation because she brought something to my attention that I hadn't thought about before as a potential new vertical inside the company. And I'm like, man, that's brilliant. That's a really good idea. I've never thought about that before. And it wasn't even something that was the intention of the conversation. The conversation was just connect. Like we had coffee just to connect. Right.
Yep.
And so now here's a really cool chance for me to be like, man, you need some help. Your daughter needs some help. I got you. And you just gave me phenomenal value because you gave me something to think about I haven't thought about before. If people could see opportunities like that, and I think that's what this event is going to, that's what the InFLOWential event is going to bring to the table.
Well, and that's such a great example too of exactly how I've created these events, curating a stellar lineup of people simply from functioning from self-fullness and service where I was investing in social capital, right? It's investing in relationships, social capital and emotional currency. And the fact that I show up to be of service without need or greed, right?
That's
the two places, are we needy of emotion or energy or attention? Just thinking like personal relationships. Are we needy or is it fueled by I need money? When we eliminate either of those, right? We just show up to be of service, as you said, and it completely changes everything because it expands the opportunities far beyond what we could have ever brought in expectation. And if you listen to me for a while, I always say expectation is just trying to control shit in your head. So control issues.
Oh, and I always say expectation breeds resentment. Because you're always going to be let down. Like if you have an expectation, you're always going to be let down, no matter what.
Well, any control issues really 100%. Set us up for being let down because it's procrastination, perfection, expectation, judgment,
all the way.
Hustle when we're hustling for the purpose of activity without intention.
Right.
And then giving is a control issue when you give without being open to receive, because now you're gaslighting or throttling somebody else's ability to give. And
not only that, but what's even worse is when you do receive, but then you diminish the reception.
Oh, right.
I bloody hate that. Like if I give you a compliment, just say fucking thank you. Just say
don't be like,
you.
oh my God, you're that too.
Yeah. Or like, oh, whatever. No, motherfucker, not whatever. Say thank you. Say thank you. Say thank you for the compliment. Like obviously somebody saw something in you and decided to give you a compliment on it that you're performing well, rather than blowing them. Because look, this is one of the things that gets me so fired up, man.
We hit a pet peeve.
Oh my God. Look, like here's the thing. What people don't recognize is that false humility is bullshit. One, two, an over level of humility means that you don't actually see value or worth in yourself. And 3, when you diminish a compliment that's delivered to you, you're not diminishing your ability to perform that thing very well because someone else is seeing it. What you're diminishing is the value of the compliment delivered to you by the other person. You're negating and making their compliment invalid. You're invalidating the person communicating with you. It is so frustrating. Like, dude, you did such a good job. And I am a 100% perpetrator of this. Like, I am a perpetrator of this through and through. It's the reason why I can speak to it. It has been a battle for me to learn how to say thank you. People, this last year, I've had some of the greatest introductions. It almost brings tears to my eyes. People have seen a thing in me that I have been unwilling to see my entire life.
Mm-hmm.
And this last year, I've had people introduce me in a way that I never thought would happen. People said very powerful words about me in an introduction and about my ability and what I do. And it was the hardest thing for me to be able to just say thank you. Because it's one of those things for me where, like, it's hard to believe.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to believe that they see this thing inside of myself that I have a hard time seeing. And it's not because I don't see value or worthiness in myself. It's not because I don't see what I'm good at and not good at. It's that because it's never good enough. It's that for me, I've not accomplished enough in my life. For me, I've not created the amount of excellence that I want in my life. I'm grateful for what I am. I'm grateful that people see it, but I'm not satisfied because it's not enough. And so it's hard for me to say thank you. And so it is a pet peeve.
Well, and you hit on such a great point, and I'm certain this is stuff we'll get to dive into more at the event too. But really that fine line between passion and purpose, saying I have capacity to do more, therefore I'm called for more, versus functioning from the old storyline that has limited us our entire lives, which is not enough.
That's yes, 100%.
And right, hustle culture has us always in that comparison mode that we're never doing enough. And as I always say, if we slow down and focus instead on being enough, you will know what to do.
I have been more fulfilled in my life in this last year than I have in my entire adult life, even the 17 years that I spent in the military. Mm-hmm. And it's because what I recognized was that I defined my identity, purpose, and mission by the hat that I wore on my head and the purpose that was given to me by my command. And I joined the military because I wanted to create impact. I wasn't able to articulate that until later in life when I became a bit more emotionally mature and emotionally intelligent for me to be able to understand down deep what it was I truly wanted to do and why I did what I did. And I've come up with this understanding that ultimately selflessness is selfishness. Mm-hmm. So I do what I do in a lot of times in a selfless way. And I undercharge. I don't ask to get paid a lot of times for things that I do, not because I don't see value or worth, but because it does truly fulfill my purpose. It makes me feel good. And that's not external validation of self. That is internal drive to fulfill my purpose. There's a big difference between the two. So
that's
I don't
emotional currency.
That all the way, all the way. Yeah, absolutely.
No, I love 100%. I love it. That's so good. No, and I think there's a lot of people who there's a fine line. And I think we've got to be able to do that inner work to clarify the difference between, prove and hustle and external validation when it is something that lights us up and fulfills our purpose versus simply showing up in that self-fullness to be of service. But I would have loved, since you are like me, you speak at tons of events, you bring so much value to so many leaders all over in all different situations. I'd love for you to share a bit about what is going to make this event different from the other ones you've attended or are speaking at. Why do people need to make sure that they add the Freedom Summit to their list of must-attend events to launch 2023?
Good. That's a really good question. I think there's a couple of, I want to say there's the big three. We'll give the big three. All right. It's very simple. I want to say there was a one thing, but there's not a one thing. It's the big three. The first thing is going to be the eclectic group of speakers that are going to be at this event. That's the first one. And also, is that a cat is there a cat that I heard?
Yeah, you were hearing her yell. That's why I was like, let me mute. She's deciding to be chatty. She's the one that's been on medication. When Jeff yelled at across the house yesterday and said, "Hey, I need you to grab your pussy," he was referring to her so we could give her meds.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, I did that post last night. I was like, "Yeah, real talk in the Martin family."
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I love it. So one is going to be the eclectic group of speakers. You're going to have an opportunity to hear from a lot of different, I would say, very articulate people who are subject matter experts in their field, and they deliver information in a unique way. So I have an opportunity to hear a multitude of different messages that's going to have sort of a Venn diagram. So if you think about how a Venn diagram works, you have A side and B side that has an overlapping in the center, which has the commonality. And so we're going to have a bunch of different subject matter experts in their field speak to a bunch of different topics. But I think what people are going to find, and this is the number two piece, is that the eclectic group of speakers are going to speak to a multitude of different topics that have commonalities that overlay amongst each other. And that's going to be a crucial piece for people who are attending to understand and listen to for those key common pieces. And the reason why I say it's key to pay attention to common pieces is because everybody thinks that they're special. Everybody thinks that they're super unique. Everybody thinks that they are, their problems are unique to them and their emotions are unique to them. And let me just say this. If you've not read Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning, you have to do it, because Viktor Frankl is a phenomenal brain and he's a phenomenal man and he wrote phenomenal books. But one of the things he talks about is this concept that your experience may be unique to you, but your emotion is not. So the worst thing you've ever experienced in your life, and the worst thing that I've ever experienced in my life, and if the worst thing that you experienced was a paper cut, and the worst thing that I experienced was losing my finger, the experience was unique, but the emotions derived from that worst experience are common, which means that we don't have to play a comparison game. And so you're going to have an eclectic group of speakers speaking in a very, very powerful way that's going to have common points that will be common to all topics that are presented. And I think that those are key pieces that people have to listen to. That's two. Mm-hmm. The third thing is day number two. The third thing is day two is going to be time for people to put together a list of action items and an action plan that they're going to be able to take away with them. And this is a combination of mentality and mechanics. If we can get people with that fire lit up, we can get that fire under their butt roasting hot, we can get them ready to take massive action and really start moving. And when I say massive action, I don't mean I want you to change the entirety of your life overnight. I mean that you're going to take one broad step forward. When I say massive action, I don't mean that you're going to go and run a marathon. I don't mean that you're going to go and ride 100 miles on your bicycle. I mean one fucking step. Like that is massive action. So day two, I think this is the biggest piece of all, is people are going to leave with an action plan that they've developed and designed with input from all of us that are going to be there and supporting them in being more successful. So when they leave, they can take massive action. And I think those are the three principal takeaways that people are going to have and why they should attend. And if they're not attending, then they're fucking wrong.
Well, not only that, but like having the pre-work that we're going to ask people to do to bring with them to the event, so that we're able to then integrate all of what they're going to learn and experience over the 2 days into either solving that problem or creating that desired result. And then we get to, as you just said, right, really dive in on day two into crafting what is this implementation strategy.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I think it's going to be a spectacular event. I'm looking forward to listening to everybody speak. Like, that's actually what people don't realize, is that I'll go to these speaking engagements and I'll go to speak, but what I do is I like to go in the back of the room and just listen to all the other speakers speak, because I want to hear what they have to say. Because, people have got different methods and different processes that they've established in their life that's become very successful. Like, man, can I replicate that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've got people ranging from branding and voice to self-mastery to behavior to obviously all the different elements to leadership, communication, and culture that we'll be bringing over the course of those 2 days. It's just bananas. So any final thoughts before we wrap up?
Yeah, I would say the final thought is this. One, I think you've done a phenomenal job in putting this together logistically. So toss you your creds on this.
Thank you.
Two, I'm absolutely honored and privileged to be able to come and speak and be a part of this. So I'm really grateful for that as well. And three, if you are listening to this or you do hear this and you have been looking for an opportunity to not just go to your average run-of-the-mill, I don't want to call it a mastermind because it's not a mastermind, but let's call it an experiential learning event. And you haven't had an opportunity to go to one, this would be the one to go to because of one, the speakers that are coming that are being presented there, the mentality and the concepts and mechanics that are going to be provided, the opportunity to apply it in real time. And the last piece is basically for us to just look you in the face and tell you to quit being a bitch and start fucking doing some shit.
In a variety of ways.
in a multitude of different delivery methods.
Everyone will hear something different.
Some are going to have some more lubricated messages, and I'm just going to come in with the big green weenie and smack you in the face, and it's going to be great.
Oh my God. Well, that's one way to close it out. And the one viewer that was on just bounced. No.
You know what? It happens. It happens.
That's hilarious. All right. Well, thank you so much, Adam. It is going to be an absolute blast to spend time with you at the event, January 26th and 27th here in Tampa. Make sure you grab your tickets because it is going to be the best way for you to launch your leadership, your impact, your culture, performance, profit elevation in 2023 because everything starts with you.
That's exactly right.
This is the place to do it. All right, head on over, click that link, and I will see you at the event in January. Thank you so much for joining us.
Later.